They said it wouldn't last, and they said that you can't drive profitable and incremental revenue through the affiliate channel. But here we are, 20 years later, and the affiliate channel is alive and kicking and generating profitable revenue for thousands of retailers across the globe. Hi, I am Jamie Birch, your host of the Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast, where we talk to some of the industry's best and brightest about their careers, about leadership, and about how to drive profitable revenue through the affiliate channel. Hey, this is Jamie with JEBCommerce and the Profitable Performance Marketing Podcast. I have a great guest today, very special. We are besties, Erin Killian of Pepperjam. So before I introduce this episode and Erin, let me just talk about a service we have at JEB. It is our strategy roadmap. So we have many clients where we manage their affiliate programs for them day in, day out. But some come to us and they just want to make sure that they have the right strategy for the right time. Whether it's growth, cost reduction, incrementality, they want to make sure that they have the right strategy. They're working with the right partners on the right network and the total right setup. So we have a service that can provide that for you, just like it has for many others in the past. And you can go to jebco.de/strategy to get more information. We'll include that in the strategy notes. We look at the network. We look at your return order process. We do a gap analysis on your affiliates. We look at your content strategy, your compliance to regulatory issues, all of those things we look at and provide one document that outlines the strategy you should be taking going forward. So if you'd like more information, you can email me at gethelp@jebcommerce.com, or you can go to jebco.de/strategies. That's jebco.de/strategy. And I'll include that in the show notes. So on to our guest today, Erin Killian. Now, Erin and I go way back. I forgot how long we go back, but we go way back to 2007 and her start at Pepperjam. And she's been at Pepperjam actually before it was even a network or a platform. So really interesting take on this industry and how things have evolved. I will let you listen to some of her lessons that she has shared with us of going through a lot of change in her career. So we talk about all sorts of stuff, and we dive deep into a bunch of different affiliate marketing things like incrementality, coupon and loyalty sites, content partners, things that are working for advertisers right now and what they should be focusing on Q3 going forward. So definitely take a listen to this, and I'll explain some more things in the outro as well. But let's just dive in right now with my good friend, Erin Killian. All right, Erin, thank you for joining me. As I am every single time we get to talk, I'm excited to chat with you and actually put this down on recording. So welcome to the Profitable Performance Podcast.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy our conversations. They're always a highlight of my day. So this is super exciting for me to be a part of this. So I'm excited.
Well, good. Well, and it's, I have your whole day to compare against as the exciting part of your day, as it's what, like 5:30 where you're at right now?
It is, but it's been a really good day. So this is a fantastic kind of bow or a cherry on top of that Sunday to be able to connect. And you're just in the middle of your day, Jamie. So, look at me as like that ending to like a
good.
day.
Can I also end my day after this? That would be fantastic.
That would be fantastic. I can't make any guarantees about that, unfortunately, but you can try.
Yeah. Well, actually, this is the last thing I have to do today. So I will be out of here after I record the intro and outro, and we'll be done. How are you in general? So much going on in your neck of the woods. How are things?
So things are going really well. Obviously, as a business, Pepperjam's been, combating the same things I think so many of us are with COVID. How do we support those challenges, those changes, as we've moved staff to working from home and helping to support your businesses and combating this way of new normal. And then in the middle of all of this unique uncertainty that we're facing as marketers, Pepperjam was super excited to be acquired by Partnerize right at
Yeah,
the
big
end of
news.
July. Yeah. So I am so excited about what this opportunity means for the larger Partnerize group. We're still not quite 30 days into it. We're getting close. We're about 2 days away from where that 30-day mark was, so it's definitely still, business as usual from that kind of angle. But Partnerize has such a great global footprint and such a unique technology stack that for me, I'm a tech nerd and I really love how our tech solves for problems and, how to build it into a strategy. So as I get to learn more about that tech side of the world, I am so excited because it's so much more for us to be able to do and work with clients with. So for me, it's like, ooh, it's a new toy. It's this great new opportunity. So I am super excited about what that's going to mean.
Awesome. Yeah, lots of acquisitions taking place, lots of news in the industry for sure. And now I was trying today to remember how and when we met. And I think this goes to how great of an individual you are, but you are ubiquitous through all my memories of affiliate marketing till back back when I started in 99. So I don't remember where we met or how. I think it was maybe a Charlotte Russe affiliate program way back in the day, but I don't know. Do you have any idea?
So I actually do. And it was Charlotte Russe. I was actually just coming back into the affiliate fold within our business at that time. And I was starting to work with all of these agency partners. And it was Charlotte Russe and JEB. That was, I think, my first agency interaction I think we were updating technology. And it was my first opportunity to work with you and your team. And I'm pretty sure since then we've been like best buds.
I think so.
'Cause
Yeah,
yeah, and
safe
I
to
can't
say.
even, yeah, and I can't even tell you what year it was. At this point, everything kind of melds together. It could have been a year ago, a decade ago. It could have been Monday. Um,
We have this since the quarantine. People ask, "Well, what day is it?" And we're like, "Look, it's day. We don't know. It's just all kind of blurring together."
it does. It's weird because time no longer has any type of, I don't want to say value, but it is a very different perception than it would have been in February of this year.
Yeah, it's completely different. And
Oh yeah,
you guys must be working remotely now too.
we are. To give everybody some insight, I am hiding from my dogs who have very big mouths in a bedroom in my home right now because it was the only safe place for me. So
I'm secretly hoping your dogs make their presence known and an appearance during this podcast.
they might. I'll apologize now in advance. They're
Well,
not subtle.
I'm in my office. We made a decision to go fully remote through 2021. So like a lot of companies are doing that. I saw
Yep.
REI making some big changes this year. We decided to go fully remote. So I'm from my office that now has nothing on the walls. And we are moving out this week and going fully remote,
Wow.
for protection and safety of our staff. And we've been that way since April of this year anyway. So we're just going to make it, for the whole year. So while I have no yapping dogs, there may be an echo because I just took everything off the walls today.
So Partnerize did make the decision as an organization that we are also going to stay remote, probably through the end of the year.
Yeah.
Just trying to make sure that we put the health and safety of our employees, at the forefront, help to support, them in a constructive manner. But I have to say, the move for us to go from being in an office to being offline, I think has actually created some really unique connections that we haven't had a chance to build before. I think that this, you know, COVID has created an opportunity where you have to get on a video call. You're actually
Yeah.
wanting that human interaction. And I feel as though it's made so many of our relationships so much stronger. Even though we're talking to the same people in the same cadence, the fact that our situations have changed and you're capturing people in a more intimate type of setting, I think has created a very different atmosphere, especially for what we do. And I think it's been really beneficial for all of us. I can't lie.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I was kind of noticing, for years, once we got this technology, and Zoom became ubiquitous, but even before
Mhm.
that, I used stuff like Uvu and Skype and always wanted to do that with our clients on regular calls. And while in an agency, our lives revolve around relationships and those kind of things, it's very natural for us to want to use whatever we can to build that. The clients aren't always, the people inside the avatars aren't always the same, and so it was always difficult. But what I found is like the first month, everyone was using virtual backgrounds and trying to hide that they were working from home
Mhm.
or cover up uh, something that's very much them, whatever that happens to be behind them. And then I think something happened in June and July where things just got authentic. I had an interview I had a call with someone, and they made the call from their bedroom. It was totally messy. Their kids came in to talk to me while we were talking, and it was the first time that happens to someone, it's shocking. Like, oh my gosh, my kid is in here. Get out of here. I'm trying to do business. We've all had that so often that there is a sense of, in our industry is based on relationships, right? And so there's been an authenticity to these relationships that I think you're right. We haven't had before this.
No, it's really changed it. I can tell you that when I worked from home before this, if one of the dogs or God forbid the cat made an appearance on a call or you could hear them, I was just so utterly mortified. Like, oh my gosh, what a horrible representation. And when we made the transition home, there was just no way to avoid that.
Yeah.
For all of us. So instead, I've tried to welcome them into it as much as I can,
Yeah.
so that I think it's actually helped to strengthen those connections, because when someone sees that, I think that they have a tendency to let their guards down. There's that interpersonal connection that we didn't always get before. When you're on a conference call, it's still very much so all business. When you actually see that person now, it's the same conversation, but I think the meaningfulness of it has increased, which is, I think,
Yeah.
been a really great side effect of this, given the challenge that COVID has brought.
Yeah, and definitely some challenges. One thing, one of my first few guests, Steve Denton, shared with me one thing he's doing with his team that I thought really added to the strength, strengthening relationships was during their weekly team meetings, they would do a show and tell. And so someone, or maybe several someone's, got to show something about them in their home, and it's not something you may not talk about, or you don't get that opportunity. But when I heard the idea, we started doing it here, and we've learned a whole lot about each other. It's been a really great experience, something that we're going to continue doing.
First off, I know Steve. Obviously, I have some history considering
Yeah.
he was the head of Pepperjam for a while, so I can't speak highly enough of him either. He's fantastic, and I'm going to steal that idea, because I think
I
that's
did.
I think that's fabulous, because I think the other thing for us is I've always done weekly meetings. This one, I was like, well, let's make sure everybody feels connected. Let's do this daily. Let's do just a quick touch base.
Yeah.
Make sure everybody's okay. Are your families okay? Are you guys okay doing this? And we'll do a quick gut check so we can help to support each other. And so I think just in those daily conversations, I think we've had accidental show and tell, but I totally
Yeah.
am going to
Yeah.
call that now because
I
this
like
is
that.
fantastic.
Accidental show and tell. Yeah, we did the same thing during the first couple weeks and maybe the first month, the first 6 weeks. We did dailies as things were changing so rapidly, and that's one of the things we'll touch on today. The speed of change right now. That we did that, and now we've moved to twice a week. Everyone, we feel pretty comfortable where we're at. Everyone's comfortable at home. Everyone came and picked up their chairs and things like that to be able to work from home and all of that. So we've done kind of the same. Now, before we
Mhm.
dive into the many affiliate marketing topics we have listed, and I am really excited to deep dive into some of these. I didn't realize that I guess I could have imagined that we had connections before we got into affiliate marketing, but a whole slew of my family went to Penn State University, and you graduated there in '99. Did you go to the main campus? Were you at one of the other campuses?
Oh, I was at main campus. I went because, quite
Right
frankly,
on.
Jamie, I wanted to watch football games on Saturdays. It was,
Yeah.
quickly making sure I got my student tickets. It was probably one of the best experiences ever. I still am a season ticket holder. I still spend a ton of time down there. My
I'm
parents
so
went there. My
jealous.
sisters went there. Like, it's a very family oriented item for us, but I have to say it's really disappointing that I don't get football this year, so I don't get that same connection to be able to go home. So now it's, how do I figure out a way to still go down and help to support like that community,
Yeah.
even though football's not there. So for me, it Penn State is very much so ingrained in who I am.
That's
So in the
awesome.
next time I go, I'll get you some ice cream and we'll have it packed in dry ice and we'll send it out to Idaho for
That would be awesome. So my dad went
you.
there, my sister went there, and I worked in the summers just outside of town at a tree farm. And so while my sister was there going to summer classes and finishing up in the spring and then starting again in the fall, I would stay with her on campus. I wasn't supposed to, but don't tell him. But I'd stay in her dorm with her and hang out with all her friends, and then I'd go work at this tree farm. So I saw that and was like, "Oh, we have deep connections." But for the listeners who are not best friends like we are, tell us, like, what after Penn State, what did you do? How did you get into affiliate marketing? And tell me about the path from your beginning to now vice president of agency and prime.
So it's a storied path, believe it or not.
Mhm.
I think I was one of those people that came to a career a little bit later than a lot of people do. And so when I graduated, I didn't know what I wanted to do, Jamie. I went back
I
to
feel
start,
you.
like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go grad school. Seemed like a really good idea. And but I during the process, I wasn't learning enough in the major I picked. It was a communication master's. I didn't feel as though I were capitalizing on it and ended up working in retail sales, both for a large chain that no longer exists, and then ultimately helping a friend manage a small boutique, which is where I think I got, strangely enough, a love for sales, which I didn't even know I had.
You say that with such surprise.
I didn't realize it, and I was managing and working through with this really small company in I to give the listeners some insight, in northeastern Pennsylvania, like outside of Scranton, a core group where it was about buying for us. What would we want to share with our
Mhm.
consumers, and got to learn a lot about that business and wanted to change. And at the time, a friend of my sister's was working at Pepperjam, and she raved, and she was heading up an online media buying division within the company. And I was intrigued. And I was like, I think I want to work there. And actually came in, interviewed for not a position that was anywhere close to what I thought I was going to be interviewing for. And I'll be honest, didn't work out that first time. And connected with her a little bit later for something that was specifically in online media buying. And suddenly the store at Pepperjam opened. And I hate to admit it, it opened well over a decade. I think I'm going on 13 years in November um,
Wow.
of this year. And that was back before Pepperjam was a platform, back before we were, Partnerize. You're going back to many moons ago, when
And
we
what
were
was
just
Pepperjam 13 years ago?
13 years ago in 2007. We had yet to launch the network. That would launch in early 2008. We were we did outside program management. So we were an affiliate management group. We also had a search and SEO arm. And then we had a small online media crew that did small media buys. And then we did lead generation on some of the old CPA type of platforms. So
Wow.
putting up offers. So I started in that realm even before there was a network, which eventually became the platform, and
Wow.
found and then weaved my way through Pepperjam and have I you know to be with a company for 13 years, you were constantly changing. And change is the only constant, and it's probably the one thing that I love best about this company
You'd
because
have to.
it's you have to keep going. And so I wound my way through from media buying into the network, into account management. And for those of you who don't know, Pepperjam has gone through a number of different iterations and changes. When we were Pepperjam Network and Pepperjam Exchange, and eventually the eBay Enterprise Affiliate Network, and then back to Pepperjam. So I've been able to weave my way through that, staying an affiliate, leading teams, understanding our tech, even moving into cross-channel strategy, and then actually came back into the world of the platform and agencies. And that's when I found you guys, and have had a chance to, really fortify, I think, the thing I love best about affiliate, which is the relationships that I've been able to build. And over the past, 4 years now, to work with the agencies, and then most recently to be able to work with our self-managed brands and our publishers, it's just a chance to keep building more relationships. I look at everyone that I've been able to know from you guys, from JEB, whether it's clients, account managers, and how
Hmm.
it's continually evolving. Affiliate is the one place where people may move on, but everybody stays interconnected. There is still a lot of history between us all that I think we actually rely on and have used to kind of build and shape where affiliate started from, back in the day to
Wow.
where it
Yeah.
is today, because it's night and day from where the channel started to where we are today.
I didn't realize you were there pre-platform. The amount of change that you've experienced is tremendous, and frankly, I don't know anyone who's been with a company that's gone through not only strategic direction, like such a significant difference from what you're doing, a service agency essentially, to building a platform, building a network, becoming a platform, and then now an acquisition, and so many, different acquisitions with eBay and rebranding and all of that. As you are going through all that, what are some lessons you learned? So say some of our, there's a lot of change going in our industry right now. So what would you tell someone who's going through some of those changes now? What are the lessons you learned? What helped you? Change can be scary. You never quite know things are going to look like. We don't always get to know that. So what kept you focused and grounded and helped you be successful through so many changes at Pepperjam?
I think the core group of senior leaders at Pepperjam for me, and some of the amazing people that I've had a chance to work with, really for me were the foundation of why it was so easy to navigate that. Because you're right, there is no certainty in change, it is all uncertainty. There are no guarantees. So I think having that leadership to be able to rely on and know I had a sounding board gave me a footing to be able to really roll with those changes. I think that one of the most challenging things for me was being able to roll with the punches, to realize that I cannot change the things I cannot control, and I cannot worry about the things outside of my control. So to be able to step back and say, I'm going to continue to do what I do best. I'm
Hmm.
going to focus and continue to deliver on that. I'm going to continue to keep asking and saying, what else can I do? How else can I help this business? And how do I keep helping my clients? I think was what really allowed me to be able to walk pretty seamlessly through a lot of it, considering there was so much change. And it was very exciting because with every change, there came new opportunity. So for me, when talking to people that are uncertain and are nervous about change that's impacting them, use that as a way to ground yourself, kind of look and say, what are you doing best? How are you doing it? How do you continue to support the people around you, namely your business and your clients? And then just over deliver on it and just say, whatever's going to happen will happen and it will happen for the best. And just ask questions. I think that's the other thing. Even now with our acquisition, I'm asking questions that I know are a year away,
Yeah.
and asking and questioning and going, well, what about this? And where are we? And I think keeping an inquisitive nature while keeping focus that it's about doing what you do best and continuing to stay that course through that uncertainty, I think helps to, ground you and allow you to move through. For me, I was also willing to say, what else do you have? I think taking on new challenges during uncertainty and attempting to learn more actually helps to navigate through it. As you learn more about what's happening around you, you start learning new and different skills. That was something else that I also kind of fell back on to help keep me centered is let me take on more. Let me keep, kind of learning, growing, adding to it. And then suddenly you realize that you're 6 months, you're 12 months down the line, and everything around you is built up differently, and you continue to thrive. So I think that was also something really beneficial for
That is fantastic. Where did you learn that? Like some of these things they're great advice. I wrote down, focus on what I can do best. What else can I do? How else can I help this business? How can I support those around me? Ask questions, keep an inquisitive nature, and then a quote from you: with every change comes opportunity. Is that just, I mean, did your family grow up like that and teaching that? Did you just kind of, is this just a ingrained part of who you are?
I think part of it's ingrained in who I am and my family. That it was take the opportunity that's afforded to you and really make the best out of it. And try to do your best. I was raised with that idea that, you know, go above and beyond. Be that person you want to be and exemplify that person. And then, quite honestly, I've had some people that during some of these changes, they just had great advice that helped to
Hmm.
kind of solidify it. There was a transparency to help make it easier and that support. But I think it's just a combination of, well, I am good at this in work, Jamie. Some of this doesn't carry over into personal. So I've been able to categorize and say,
I hear you there.
career wise, I can do this. Ask my fiance. Can't always do it at home, but I can do it at work. And I think it's also the idea that you fixate on the things you know you can do and you do them well and you stay focused on that. And at the end, you know, you get somewhere and you're like, wow, I'm here, it's done, everything is around me, and everything is new. And I think that's important because I look at COVID and where we were from the start to
Hmm.
where I am today. It's as if it were yesterday. And focusing on that, I think, has just made me even better in dealing with conflict, other changes. So it's just trying to take the adversity, go, gosh, I can't worry about this because I can't change it. So what can I change? What can I control? And let me focus on that. Because otherwise, it's a very challenging and very worrisome place to be. And you can't
Yeah.
solve for it. And it ends up taking away, not just from what you're doing in your job, but it also takes away from you as a person. And that's just something for me that I try to stay focused on. So I can be better.
And it's such good career advice through change, but it's also good advice for I think all of us right now as everyone's trying to navigate and what we ask, what is it going to look like? And I'll ask you that question later. What are things going to look like in the future? We don't know. So focus on what I do best. What else can I do? How else can I help this business? How can I support those around me? And then keep asking questions. It's just such great advice. Thank you for sharing that. So let's dive into some affiliate stuff. So one of the things, you know, so much changes so often in our industry, right? But the last 6 months, even more. So from your vantage point, what are some of the macro changes that you've seen take place in the industry in the last 6 months or so?
I think the biggest change has been a real shift to the idea of e-commerce as the center for a business. I know that that sounds silly in what we do. We come out of affiliate marketing. We are driven by e-commerce, but so many brands, while e-commerce was a focus, it wasn't always the center of their marketing activities and budget
Hmm.
dollars. They were still driven by retail. And I think the biggest change for me has been watching how e commerce, and especially affiliate marketing, has really stood out from some of the other channels because, unlike so many other areas, paid search, email, SEO, paid social, affiliate is truly this performance based model that allows you to create these unique partnerships of anyone and help to, in essence, create this unique virtual sales force to be able to educate, incentivize, and help ultimately convert consumers into new consumers. And I think seeing that pivot to how important e commerce is, and the fact that it is really about utilizing your data to really understand that overarching marketing impact on e commerce has been really at least exciting for me. uh, Coming out of affiliate, it hasn't always been the channel that stood out from the rest. It was
Hmm.
something that you did it because you needed to. And I think a lot of marketers misunderstood that. But now it's really come full center and it's become a focus for so many brands that for me, that's probably been the biggest change. And it's been really exciting to watch, even though those first few months were very challenging for so many brands.
Do you think that in the past, and we've been through some recessions, and there's always we seem to take a leap towards e-commerce when these things happen. After 9/11, we were all worried about going to shopping centers. We didn't know if it was there another terrorist attack. So e-commerce took a jump because people were kind of forced to now look, can I actually buy something online? Because I don't really want to go out. And this is even a bigger jump like that. So you think COVID is a real driver of pushing people to focus on e-commerce?
I think it has because I think it's changed consumer shopping behaviors, I think more so than a lot of other times in history. While I think the impact and effect of 9/11, did wear off and you saw people come back very quickly, I think the long term impact of COVID and the uncertainty as to what still happens with how we face that unique challenge into the fall, I think is still impacting consumer behavior. You start looking at, my own father who didn't shop online, wasn't doing, pickup in store. He's 71 years old. That wasn't something he was as driven to do, has become much more focused on e-commerce and utilizing all of these unique circumstances and solutions that, our brands and different marketers have been able to give to consumers. So I think that it's going to create a different impact on the channel, at least from my own vantage point and watching as I've watched so many different areas grow, others kind of shrink. It's been interesting to watch that consumer change. And with the fact that students aren't necessarily going back into school, some are, and the fact that there isn't consistency, I think will
Mhm.
continue to have brands stay more focused on e-commerce. And even look at what happened with Black Friday. Walmart and Target won't be
Yeah.
open. That in and of itself changes the landscape. And
Yeah.
it's, I think that in conjunction with everything else, and as marketing dollars are shifting towards that, I think we're going to see this stay more the course because it's also a more effective channel and an effective use of dollars from an e-commerce standpoint.
Now, do you think as the e-commerce, water rises, as that tide rises, that raises all the channels and affiliate, or do you think that will that make it more competitive for advertisers in the affiliate channel? Will that make affiliate channel more important to their mix, or less? Where
I
do you
think
think it rises everything?
I think it rises everything because you have to. You have to support all of your channels as a brand. But I think affiliate especially stands out because even though you need to continue to support all of your channels, you're seeing rising costs in so many of those channels in order to participate. And as more brands enter the space, you again, budget dollars only go so far. Affiliate's performance based. Unlike needing to pay per click on a keyword, and trying to expand your reach, you can now work with anybody as a publisher, as that affiliate, and pay on a conversion basis. There's something very attractive about that. And the fact that it's data driven, how do you choose to invest? When do you choose to invest? How do you analyze your data more holistically? I think affiliate grew up, and it's as it becomes more understood. And I think as people utilize their data in different ways, I think you're just going to continue to see it thrive. And I look and say that this channel will continue to grow, especially as people become more educated, as you continue to keep doing what you're doing now with the podcast, to keep teaching people that there is, a lot more value, and there's a lot more than it was in, 2007,
Mhm.
um, as it grows.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot more data. Like you can see exactly what is working, and what we've been seeing is budgets have been shifting. And I saw this in 2001. I saw this in 2008. Budgets shift to the performance channel when the need to only, to truly only pay for what is going on becomes even more important. And like you said, if you're doing paid search, you're paying per click, and then you're hoping you get that conversion on the end. How important is it to you to know that that budget is being spent on a conversion, and not on a click that doesn't result in a sale? So balancing those two things out and seeing budget shift to the pay
Hmm.
to play, pay for conversion platform, and knowing that you can find an affiliate, a good affiliate partner that engages in all the channels you would anyway. We've seen a lot of CFOs really be attracted to the affiliate channel because there's also the float. So they get the sale,
Yeah.
they get invoiced for that commission, and then they have to pay it. So there's a period of time they get to hang on to those dollars. And when you're talking at scale, that's a really big deal.
And you mentioned something, Jamie, the fact that affiliate is, I think there's a perception that it's just coupon deal loyalty. And we've seen that, the majority of our new publishers this year coming out of content and social, but they're also retargeting, remarketing, they're
Mhm.
search publishers. So there's a way to be able to look at your budgets holistically through this channel, which isn't something that you can really do with other channels. So it creates, I think, unique opportunities for brands to capitalize on.
Yeah, so let's talk about the different types of affiliates. Uh, why do you think coupon and loyalty have played such a prominent role, for so long?
Uh, they initially started this channel, and consumers have been deal driven forever. Everyone is looking for the greatest way to capitalize on it. And initially, when the channel was founded, it was coming out of coupon deal loyalty. So I think a lot of that initial innovation came from some of those relationships. But as marketers became savvier and wanted different ways to engage with their consumers, it opened the door for other types of relationships to be able to come in. And I think that it's not as though people are looking for variation. They want to be able to capitalize and utilize affiliate to, you know, identify new consumers, help bring new consumers to their brand, help better target and focus on, mid-funnel activities with unique, marketing and placement opportunities. And then they utilize different types of relationships in some cases to help close it. So I think Coupon and Deal ended up as that initial base for the channel to build on. But we've seen a marked shift, especially during COVID, that within our own data set that we've been publishing, that, in the past few weeks, looking, I think, at data last week, Jamie, that with content, that content grew from year over year standpoint, it grew by 80%.
Wow.
That's a huge marked change. And I think it shows that consumers and different marketers are looking at their data differently, to kind of be able to action against it. And so I think as we've evolved and as people have seen the good that came out of the coupon, the deal, the loyalty, what they had to offer, but that there was more to the funnel than just, let's close this. It was, how do we find new guys? How do we follow them all the way through? I think that's what opened the door. So, and I think now you're seeing a marked shift, not away from it, but adding additional type of, publisher opportunities and variations to help grow what you're doing in the space.
Yeah, and I definitely want to talk about content affiliates, but you mentioned something a number of times, and what I found is sometimes when people like you and I, we've been in this space for so long, talk about certain things, we assume something is foundational, that everyone knows that information. And you said funnel, so talk to me about the consumer funnel. Give me and our listeners a broad view of what that funnel is, so they can follow along if they didn't catch that.
No, absolutely. That's a great point. We use a lot of acronyms and a lot of names for things the same way
Yep.
repeatedly. So when I'm talking about the funnel, I'm talking about that idea of a brand saying, how do I identify new consumers? So the top of that, if we're looking at a cone, the top of that cone, where do I find new consumers to bring to my brand? Where do they live? Well, if we're looking at coupon and deal, I'm the type of person that I'm searching for something at the very end. So I'm intent on a brand or an item. So that's more at the bottom. We're going to close out. But at the top, there's that broadness. How do we reach more people? How do we get our message out and create more brand awareness? You tend to find your content providers, so bloggers, different mass media partners, whether it's people.com, Newsweek, different ads and opportunities that appeal to a much broader subset of consumers in order to better segment them into, whether it's different types of advertiser verticals that you're looking to target, different household incomes, what type of consumer do you as a brand want? We start with the big pool, the top of that funnel. And then the consumer is introduced to the brand in some capacity. Maybe I see an article, I'm excited about Jamie's brand, and I start moving down. I'm getting interested. I've clicked through to your website, but today is not the day that I want to buy. So then you get your mid funnel. So that's where, how can I talk to that consumer who's shown some type of intent? They're interested. They're not quite ready to buy. That's when you get your remarketers, people that are looking to reserve ads to those consumers who've been on your site. That's when you have an opportunity to work with different types of publishers / affiliates for maybe increased placement opportunities, to reach out to segmented audiences to help push them to what we would consider or the bottom of the funnel. So that's the consumer who's intent on purchasing. and they're looking to be influenced in some capacity. And it doesn't have to be a coupon or a deal. I think we get into our heads that affiliate is just coupon and deal driven. It's not. It's
Yeah, we
about the
definitely do.
consumer intent. Yeah, and I think we get that because I look at the bottom of the funnel could also be exclusivity, unique content, something unique that makes that brand stand out to me. Doesn't have to just be the discount or the sale, but that person who helps to close the deal. So the idea of the bottom of the funnel. So you've got consumers in all of these different life cycles. Are they new to your brand? Are they in the middle and learning about you guys and not quite at the point of closing? And then those consumers who are intent. And then that's the best part about affiliate, about publishers. They can live in all aspects of that funnel. So just because you're one type of affiliate doesn't mean that you only live in one section. There are a number of opportunities for people to play in different areas. And even though I think there can be, where some people tend to be prone to introduce and others are prone to close, they can actually be in every part of that consumer journey. And I think that's the best part. Consumers don't just shop in these linear,
Hmm.
processes. They're influenced by a majority of different mechanisms to help drive to the sale. And as marketers have become savvier, we can actually see it now versus in, 2007 when you would be tasked with just top line revenue and wouldn't necessarily be able to see that.
So that's a great explanation. Thank you so much. And not only can we see it, but we can reward based on that that their contribution, to the order. One thing I did, well, not me, but we did as a company way back when I was at Coldwater Creek before I had an agency. We called it, I believe it was Lumberjack, where we took an order and we chopped it up like the
Mm-hmm.
lumberjack chops a log into the different channels, the different channels that impacted the sale. And
Mm-hmm.
internally anyway, well, we associated a certain amount of revenue and cost to each channel based on, what we felt it contributed to it. And so, that was, not many people were doing that back in 2000, 2001. But that was sort of a precursor to what we can do now. Is now you can see how these affiliates interact together in
Mm-hmm.
that funnel, but also how they interact within your broader, customer path to purchase funnel. Something that, maybe they haven't, advertisers haven't really dove into yet.
No, exactly. And I think that's been one of the key drivers as the channel matured. There's now this understanding that you can really see into that path. You can better understand your consumer journey and see ultimately how are they being influenced in order to create those different reward mechanisms. It's about giving you and the advertisers the flexibility to find the right relationship, pay them at the right time for the right action based on ultimately what a brand is looking to accomplish.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the savior of the channel in some regards. And especially like we're talking coupon and loyalty sites, those affiliates, if you couldn't see all of that, eventually, there's been a mistrust with those partners, especially coupon sites, of that. But now
Mhm.
being able to see the data and actually seeing how they interact with the consumer and what their value is in that channel, you get to reward. At the end of the day, you're just looking for a certain type of end conversion, and how do you get there the most effectively and the most efficiently for the consumer?
Yep, exactly. And I think with all of the data we have, all of the different technologies, what, you know, Pepperjam can do to help control that, I agree. I think it's created a new vantage point as marketers look and evaluate things differently. And I think that's been fantastic as well.
And for many years, I can't remember how long, but it seems like for forever, advertisers wanted niche sites, bloggers,
Yep.
vloggers, content affiliates, and for a long period of time, we said yes, we can go get them, and occasionally we'll have some that close deals. close conversions for you, but you have to be prepared that they are not closers. So without technology to be able to show that, it was really hard to show value in that. But now going into 2020, we've got a ton of new technology. There's a better understanding. What do you think? What do you see the role of content partners going forward?
Content is integral to the channel going forward. I It's an entire perception and a change, I think, within the industry. There's still value in the other types of relationships, but as you see more brands enter the space, as people are looking to more effectively spend their dollars, they're looking to bring in new consumers. They're looking to have consumers buy more. And what better way to be able to identify with that base than working with content providers. And content providers, I think, have also done a great job at better optimizing and working with brands than they have in years past. We, as a technology platform, have been able to better reward them with different mechanisms to help control that idea of the consumer at the last minute gravitating away from content
Mhm.
that ends up rewarding on last click. Um, and you're finding more content in the space. We're seeing a true focus on helping to build more brand awareness, draw more attention to the brand, versus the idea that I think initially people use the promotion to drive to the brand. Now it's how do I build awareness around the brand and find unique ways to position myself to that consumer base. And then we got to reward them, Jamie. We didn't have a mechanism years ago to pull the trigger to say you weren't a last click affiliate, which is, for those listeners who may not know, affiliate traditionally tends to be last click driven in the channel. So how do we gravitate away from that? It wasn't something we could do a few years ago. And I think in the advent of COVID, and as consumers are more engaged, they're looking to find new sources to be introduced to things than they have in years before. You're seeing more content. And we've seen a huge shift. I mentioned that we've seen growth in 79% year over year for the week ending, I think, the 15th. We've also seen that in that data set, we saw 60% of the consumers that came from content, Jamie, were also new. So
Mm,
there are more consumers out
the
there and
holy
they're looking
grail
for,
of acquisition.
yeah, it's all about that new to file consumer. How do you find
Mm,
them? How do you capitalize on them? And when we look at the different areas they're coming from, coupon and loyalty are still driving significant amounts of new to file, but
yeah.
content is absolutely king. And now that we're able to better reward, we're able to better optimize with those relationships, and there are so many more to be able to work with, that it's creating this influx. And I think we've also seen some of the traditional partners in the space, or traditional content syndicators, also look to better optimize and work with brands. So, for instance, the Skim Links, and how they're working with relationships and knowing where and what their brands want to be able to do to grow has also helped. So I think you're seeing a focus on it, a way to reward it, and then ultimately on the flip side, those partners who are looking to, you know, intensify it by finding better ways to focus on content versus just the idea of the promotion.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask a question and answer it myself. You think how can advertisers take advantage of these content sites? And I would say have a commission structure that rewards them for what they contribute. So for many years, the content sites were sending users and they were being closed by someone else, and they weren't getting compensated for what they did as introducing and influencing. And so if you're an advertiser listening and this is what you want to attract, then make sure you have the things in place that can reward them for what they are providing. And then you're really measuring to their true value. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely on point. We've been able to, in the past few years, give advertisers more technologies to reward. I think one of my favorite, it's it's my favorite because I think it opens up anybody to be an affiliate, is being able to track without an affiliate click,
Hmm.
with some of the code-based mechanisms, so exclusive code, and other technologies that we built in. You're right, to better reward someone who isn't last click. And with that, you're able to, you know, action against it. They get to see actually what they've been driving on your behalf. And then it continues that cycle. I think what we saw a few years ago is when you couldn't do that, you saw a lot of paid placements, a lot of pay to play,
Yep.
and you saw a lot of relationships, quite frankly, leave affiliate. There were publishers years and years ago where they moved and went CPC because affiliate didn't yield the results based on a last click model. And had it been today, those publishers are able to be rewarded. They can be rewarded, for being, let's say, a first affiliate touch point. We can reward on that. That wasn't something we could have done a few years ago. And as a
Yeah.
result, you're seeing it. And the best part is, Jamie, you get to see the data that comes with it, so you can see where were they in that click life cycle. Who else was involved in that affiliate click life cycle, so that you not only get to better understand how you're spending your dollars, but understand the consumer intent so that you can craft your strategy around that.
That's great. Consumer intent. That's what you're trying to figure out, right? And to pay for it. But tell me about, what are your views on influencer and marketing and affiliates? A lot of people view those as two different channels. I don't care what you're doing. If I can, if you're hitting my audience and I can negotiate an arrangement with you, then I'm good. But what are your views on that?
I look and have it. I will tell you this, Jamie. I've got a lot of experience in this area right now because it's very popular. Um, I'm seeing more and more, at least with brands I'm talking to, where it's finally intersecting. If you can pay someone on a performance basis and you're looking to be able to track them, that's affiliate. Affiliate, while it is a channel, is also a payment mechanism. And I think for a long time we
True.
tried to keep the influencers separate. That was the idea of the PR agency, where they did the connections with the big guys for product placements, and we're going to give them free product. That's what we do in affiliate.
Yeah.
And I look at them and they are the same. And actually, a lot of brands that I personally have spoken to have brought their PR teams into the affiliate mix. They're educating them on how to use the technologies, how they can find additional influencers to be able to work with, because an influencer is an affiliate. It's someone who's promoting a brand online and looking to be compensated for that action. And I think that they have intersected as content and social have become so much more prevalent, and it's been easier to track and reward. I don't know that we would have the same intersection point in these two areas if we couldn't track the data and if we couldn't reward. But now the truth is that a PR company is working with an influencer, and maybe that influencer is people's an affiliate. Is that influencer an Instagram model? They can also be an affiliate and can earn in a
Yeah.
number of different mechanisms, whether they're using reward sales like to know it, or they're utilizing an exclusive code to track back. These worlds have come together. I think the biggest difference between what we would consider a traditional affiliate and an influencer is understanding as to how the channel works. I think
Hmm.
that's really the biggest differentiator between the two of them, is not how they work or how we can work with them, but the fact that an influencer may not be as close to understanding how the channel is, and that it's in their benefit to work within it.
When I think too, it's because the level of transparency that comes from this channel, and like you said, what they're doing is affiliate marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so much more transparency in affiliate networks that allows, people have been, there's been a backlash against influencers in the last year, as they have requested outrageous upfront costs with, no one's really sure how big their audiences are. And this provides, I think, protection for the advertiser going through the affiliate channel, but it also provides much more opportunity for the influencer to quickly create, partnerships and go
Yeah.
out there and earn a living and augment their revenue.
No, absolutely, because that's the one thing that's lacking is that transparency. Because so many influencers are working with a brand that is it's completely separate and everything is manual. So there's no understanding of the data, there's no understanding of the impact, and there's no way to really be able to look into the overarching channel to see ultimately how is it performing. An affiliate and, for instance, our data lets you see that. So you can better understand, is this coming from the influencer? Is it being influenced in a different way in the consumer behavior? And you can see that without being in an affiliate platform or working with someone like that. You're never going to get that. And then it limits the opportunity. And also, an affiliate network gets them the reward. Because you're right, Jamie. The one thing we've seen is that it's hard to justify a flat media dollar when you really don't understand the impact and there are no metrics to be able to work against.
True. So a lot of the guests I've talked with, we talked about our current economic and health climate. What are you seeing advertisers do that is both helpful and really, that's successful?
Those brands that have been most successful have been those that have really looked the challenge in the face and chosen to continue to invest. They've expanded and continue to recruit or identify new affiliates to be able to bring into the fold. They've continued to invest their marketing dollars in the channel, and they've continued to make sure as a brand that they're staying first and foremost in front of their consumers. I think that the unique circumstances created challenges for some brands initially, and some brands chose to actually pull back from a marketing effort and pull back in affiliate, especially. And in many of those cases, it became detrimental to what the
Mhm.
brand was looking to do. As a performance based channel, to pull back on something um, now limits your exposure. And because we're a relationship based, it put some barriers around those relationships to be able to reactivate them later. So I think the brands that really stood out and were able to, propel themselves forward were the ones that continued to take the opportunity, continue to invest, and in some cases, where applicable, continue to invest more so that they were able to help offset some of those overarching revenue gaps they may have been seeing before, let's say, retail and e-commerce. So that's where I've seen brands have the most success was actually keeping their foot on the pedal, continuing to invest, and continuing to build those partnerships with different affiliates.
Great. And what do you think affiliate marketers should be focused as we roll into Q3? What should they be focused on right now?
So right now, it's about continuing to engage with your consumers, at least from what I'm seeing, and ultimately prep for Q4. Q4 is what, about 45 days or so away, maybe 50.
Oh, don't say that.
I know. I don't even want to say it, but listen, your listeners know it's right around the corner. Um,
Yes.
so I think right now, continuing to, in advance of peak, I always recommend for people to test in the channel. Now's the time to see what's going to work for you and what's not, um, as well as to identify new publishers. Recruiting is huge. You need to have more relationships to continue to expand your footprint and ultimately help to focus on what your goals are, whether it's revenue, whether it's AOV, increased exposure. At the end of the day, the affiliates are what are going to drive that forward. So utilizing recruiting tools, we obviously have a robust discovery engine to help find them, but utilizing that, going out, finding relationships, testing with those partners, looking to kind of identify what's going to work and not work for you. And then my suggestion, Jamie, has been starting to plan and look at your logistics in advance of Q4. I think that one of the biggest things that as marketers that we face, in addition to an uncertain future as e-commerce is shifting and changing, and I personally think, based on the fact that NRF said last year 40% of consumers shopped before Halloween, I would think you'll probably see more, especially as things change. That I've kind of asked and started probing questions around logistics and shipping and inventory. So in addition to all of the things from the affiliate channel that we do, which is to prepare yourself, to make sure that you're ready to be able to move into this, is also to look at your business as a whole. How are you guys set from some of these logistical items that's that idea of what can we control versus what can't we control. In many cases, our marketers can't control that side of their business. But to understand that so then they can more effectively plan, I think is going to be key this year, probably more so than in years past.
Yeah, definitely. Now, do you think the pandemic changes the outlook for the channel long term and short term?
I think it does. I think it makes our outlook stronger. While there have been challenges that brands have faced, for instance, travel, as well as entertainment and people working within those different type of areas, still face some uphill battles. But as consumers are still at home and they're still looking, to live their lives, I would expect that the channel continues to grow throughout this. So when I look to peak to say, I'm excited about the trends we're going to see, because I would anticipate, and this is the personal, thought process, we're just going to continue to see that growth as we move into like the latter half of the year.
Well, Erin, I have, as I said earlier, I'm not surprised. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. We are over time for today, but I have several pages of notes of stuff I wrote down. I really love the focus on what I can do best. What else can I do? How else can I help this business? How do I support those around me? And it's really good advice to think about in all instances. And then really appreciate you diving into some really specific questions. We didn't even get to all the questions that I had for you, so I'm hoping you're okay with like a round 2 in a month or so, and we can get to, I really want to dive in with you on the next, if you're okay with doing it again, on all the perceived problems that advertisers have with this channel, and just have a discussion on, are those accurate? Were they accurate at one point and now they're not? And how are they not accurate? And sort of discuss each of those issues together. I would love to do that if you're up for it.
I would love that. That would be amazing. And I'm sorry, I know I really love catching up with you. So sorry I pushed us over time.
No, not at all. Not at all. This is perfect. I know it's around dinner time where you are. So I will let you go. But thank you again so much. I think there's so much stuff here for affiliates, advertisers, and others to learn from. And I think this was just a great conversation. So thank you for your time. And for our listeners, we will set up another time so Erin and I can dig into some of these other issues as well. But thank you so much, Erin.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Jamie. It was a pleasure. I am looking forward to round 2. So, and I hope that everybody else will, but I'm excited to dive in more.
If someone wants to get some of this expertise and wisdom from you directly, should they follow you on LinkedIn? Should they contact you through Pepperjam? Is there any sort of information you'd like to hand out to our listeners?
Absolutely. You guys can find me on LinkedIn. Please feel free to message me. I am trying to be much better at checking that on a regular basis. But you guys also have the ability to contact me at Pepperjam Direct. So for those of you guys who may know Jamie, or Jamie, if we want to put up my email, I am fine with sharing that information. I love having conversations with marketers, so looking forward to having them.
Awesome. Well, we'll include a link to your LinkedIn profile and your contact info that you're okay with in the podcast description. So if you want to get more of this amazing wisdom from Erin herself, you'll be able to do that. But again, Erin, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jamie. It's been great.
Man, I always enjoy having a conversation with Erin, and they're all a lot like that. She is fantastic and incredibly smart and gifted at what she does. You know, one of the things I pulled out of there that I really wanted to highlight is how much change Erin had been through at one organization. You heard me ask, like, how did that happen? How did you get through that? So I want to point out, like, her plan was focus on what I can do best. What else can I be doing? How else can I help this business? How can I support those around me? And then keep an inquisitive nature and always ask questions. Because one of the things she said, the quote that I really love, with every change comes opportunity. I just felt that was like important for us all to know right now, whether you are in affiliate marketing or not. Keep an inquisitive nature. Keep asking questions. What do you do that you can do best? We all have a lot going on right now, and a lot of it is things we can't really control. But in that environment, Erin just focused on what she knew she could do best, kept an inquisitive nature, asked what else I can do, how else can I help this business, and how can I support those around me. So it was just a really great philosophy that I so appreciate. I needed to hear that today. I hope you got a lot out of it. And the dive into this other things about affiliate marketing, we're definitely going to be having another episode where Erin and I are going to be talking about perceived problems with the affiliate channel. We're just going to dive into each one of those and talk about, are they accurate? Were they accurate? Are they accurate right now? And what's the story about each of those? So I hope you guys listen. Now, don't forget, we have a strategy roadmap product that we can help you in 1 week develop the strategy that you need to hit your goals going forward. You can go to jebco.de/strategy to find that out. And if you need help for anything at all, you can email me at gethelp@JEBCommerce.com, and we'll just set up a couple minutes, 15 minutes, half hour. You can tell me what problem you're having with your digital marketing, your affiliate marketing, and I'll give you my advice. No cost to you. GetHelp@JEBCommerce.com. And hey, if you liked this episode, please share it on social media. Send it to a friend. And you can also go to Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, and others and give us a review. I really appreciate that. But I hope you guys are doing well out there. I hope these are useful. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, again, email me at gethelp@JEBCommerce.com.